freshly arrived from via Victus. A bit of a surprise because I remember pre-ordering it, but it was so long ago, I actually didn't remember that I did. This is the fourth installment of Avec Infini Regret, which is an offshoot of Musket and Pike. Sort of streamlined, I would say, although there is some added complexity with the unit types in this game system. But in general, it follows the core broad strokes of Musket and Pike. So if you played Musket and Pike, you'd be very familiar and at home with this. I did a playthrough of Avec Infini, let's do it in French so I don't sound like an idiot. Avec Infini Regret, number 3, volume 3. That was a 2-map battle. It was actually quite large, and that was my first foray into this system. And I had a good time with it. You should go check out that playthrough if you want to see what this is all about from a gameplay perspective. I do really like the covers they use on this series. It's a very period image. I don't know if it was actually from this period or if it was made later, but you can see the coloring techniques is that very primitive, almost 18th, 17th century style of just kind of filling in the blob of what you're trying to shade. So it has a quite nice look to it. So this is the 4th volume, and this is a series that covers sort of the period pre-Musket and Pike, which is the Wars of Religion, typically in France, and maybe the Netherlands, but I think mostly in France, 1562 to 1598. This particular package contains the Battle of Jarnac and Arques from 1569 and 1589. So a 20-year spread here, sort of the beginning, early stages of the Wars of Religion and sort of coming into the later stages. So these would be the battles, if you're familiar with Virgin Queen, these would be the battles happening between the Huguenots and the French Catholics in that game. So it comes in a folio, as most Avec Infini Regret games do. We get a combat results table and interaction modifiers, so similar to something like Great Battles of History, depending on the unit type that you are engaging. As the attacker and defender, you might get some die roll modifiers. This system is big on orders, so you're gonna activate, you're gonna put your formations into orders, and then changing orders is more or less difficult depending on which order you're trying to change from to change to. You've got artillery fire table, terrain effects is on here. This is pretty similar to what we saw. The backside is in French, in case you do want to play it that way for some reason. Or you might be from France. Okay, so it looks like we have 2 counter sheets here. And as you'll notice, we've got some double wide counters. These are going to be the big pike formations, the pike and shot formations that you would see in Musket and Pike or of this era. A combined sort of long 12-foot pike with potentially some mounted gunners, mounted musketeers. And then you've also got single hex units here. It's pretty interesting. Those big double hex units are actually quite powerful. These pink ones look like they would be probably the Protestants, the Huguenots, perhaps. I know, well, maybe the white. Actually, I think the whites are the Protestants. The reds, I'm not sure. We've also got blue over here. These are going to be the Catholic French. Some markers, which are in French. You see some artillery there. The artillery in this system can't move, so it's like a fixed emplacement, and once you outrun it or it gets overrun, you're not using it anymore, which is pretty categorical of the artillery of this period. Again, more big pike units, pike and shot units here. Some cavalry, riders, potentially in here. The R, I think, are riders, sort of pistolier cavalry. And, of course, many, given that we're in the 16th century, many ruffled collars. It's very important. So, yeah, 2 small counter sheets. That's going to make 1 large counter sheet. These do look to be 5/8 inch counters, so sizable, a good size. Here is the Arc map. This is probably back printed. It looks like it is. Let's take a look. Yep, so here's Arc 1589. I assume that the town of Arc is here. And as usual, we do love Via Victus's artwork. Reminds me of Labatt or Battles from the Age of Reason. La Maladerie. This would be like a hospital or like a sick house, a convent, perhaps. And up here, we've got Martin Église, Martin Church. And there's a chateau down here. So as you can see, this battlefield crisscrossed by a road. These, what are these? These look like some sort of staked defensive positions. And then a bunch of rivers and swampland. So probably maneuvering on this map is probably not great. On the other side, we have got the Battle of Jarnac, or maybe Jarnac, 1569. Here is the city, or the village of Triac, and the Chateau de Triac. I really like the way that this kind of gives like a village square impression. Got, and sort of the gardens behind the chateau here in a different hex with the sort of fortified entrance there. That's pretty cool. Down here, we have got the town of Bassac. And over here, Zoom in a little bit. Épineuil, Les Plantes, and Cheville. So this one a little bit more open, some elevation gradations, but mostly roads and clear terrain, probably a lot easier to fight here. This is a half-size map, so 4 A4 sheets of paper. It's going to be pretty close to 22 by 17, somewhere in there. It might be a little bit, maybe 24 by 16, something like that. So it's back printed. You get one map sheet, and then, of course, we have the rules. With the cover in panoramic. I like that they did this. They made the rulebook panoramic on the front, which is cool. So you're going to get English and French rules in this. So it looks like this is the French side. Les batailles des guerres de religion en France, Volume 4. Flip it over. We will get the English side, I presume. No. Okay, so the English side is going to be at the back. Sometimes they print them back printed. So, yeah. So here we go. So half of the book is French rules, half is English rules. The rules in this system in English are actually pretty good, unlike unlike some of the other Via Victus games I have played recently and systems. I did have no trouble. The one thing you should know is that if you are if you have, for some reason, the first volume, which is very hard to find and very expensive and has been out of print for a long time, the rules and charts in that are actually no longer good. You should find, I believe Via Victus has a page on their website for the English version of the Volume 1 updated charts and tables. And I believe you can also use Volume 2's charts for that game. So it's not too complex, the scenarios. Yeah, it's page 20... So it's really only 7 or 8 pages of actual rules. There's some subtleties in here, and it is triple column, but there are some nice illustrations. We've got how many scenarios? We have got Yarnak, Death of a Prince, Yarnak, First Fire. So this is March 13th. Yep. Interesting. What is the difference in these two scenarios? First Fire, Death of a Prince. I wonder if this is like a separate, and then there's a combined scenario. No, the two different scenarios at Yarnak. I wonder if there are 2 battles. Interesting. Here's Arc, the last charge of a French king, 21st of September. There's only 1 of those. So you get 3 scenarios, 2 on one map, 1 on the other. Looks like it looks like this scenario is split into 2 parts, even though they take place on the same day. I'm wondering if one's like a alternate history or something. I'll have to read up on it and look. Anyways, that is Avec Infini Regret 4. This is a game I've wanted to do play more of and get more of on the channel. Comes in a folio, pretty inexpensive, great system, especially if you like Musket and Pike or tactical games of this era. You can do no wrong here. Probably one of Via Victus's best systems.